Hello, everybody. It's great to be here with you today. We have a national security issue around staffing and resource management that is super important to me as an individual of society, and also super important to me as somebody who really believes that problems can be solved when we're aware of them. So I'm looking forward to you joining this conversation, which is to say, yes, of course, we're short 500,000 people in the US. And yes, we're short 2.5 million worldwide. But on top of that, we have just as great of a problem. We have a very, very broken job searching system. And I'm going to share with you a bunch of statistics, and then I'm going to take you through how they're the result of this very poor job description, resume, matching, screening, interviewing, hiring system that we have. So let's look at what's going on. Come in with me for a minute on a journey of let's get really connected to the human side of what's happening in our industry. On average, the tenure of a chief information security officer is 18 to 24 months. I know that you can all shake your heads positively nodding yes to say that's too short. That's too short really for any role that is strategic, and arguably for roles that aren't strategic, it's even worse, because I know that it takes at least a year for a chief information security officer to find their next role, at best 6 months, but really on average, it's a year. So if 18 months is when somebody's leaving, that means they started to look very much at around a year being in their role. And who's blaming them to look? Their job functions are not understood, they're underutilized and underheard, and held accountable at a level that is gut-wrenching. And there are protectors. And so when one of them fall into an organization that is interested in compliance and not security, there is a very serious mismatch. And so imagine if that's the case at the top, if that's what's happening at the top, well, no kidding that the statistics continue to show, like this one here from ISC Squared, that 41% of all cyber employees are considering leaving their current employer this year. That's not because of COVID. I've been seeing that since the day I got into solving this solution 7 years ago. And it's been going on arguably much, much longer. And so if 41% of our current protectors are unhappy at their current role, which is what that means, that they're thinking of changing employment. And we know if you're unhappy in your employment, you sure as heck can't really share that. There's a lot of fear of being fired. And so imagine the people that are protecting are distracted by their own happiness levels. I think this is a shame, and I think it's ridiculous, and we need to change it. Let's add on to this. How about this study of 2,300 IT security and security operations center decision makers, saying that 70% of them felt that their personal lives were being emotionally impacted by their work because they're managing threats. Threats don't come and go. Threats aren't on and off. Threats are consistent, and they're growing, and they're going to continue to grow. They grow daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly, and have been since they started, and they're going to get much worse. And so, yes, of course, if you care about security, which these professionals do, then how do you say I'm done when threats are there to be discovered, defended against? How does one say I'm done and go give to my family? I get that it sounds like it ought to be easy because family ought to come first. And yet, is it, when our jobs are tied to our money and many other things? I don't think so. And let's look at this. How about 38% of cyber professionals actually consider themselves in a burnout state right now? Right now. Okay, so our protectors, 38%, are feeling burnt out. How are they going to protect at the greatest level possible? And who's to blame them? They're overworked, misunderstood, not invested in terms of training. At the masses, this is a true statement. And so when I think about this, and I see this, and I live this, and I eat this every day, we are seeing this at volumes based on how big we are. And when I see this, and I see on average a cybersecurity job stays open 9 months, but 48% or so are actively looking, would love to make a move. Why is that? What is that all about? So I tell you what all of that is about, unfortunately, is that we have a broken job searching, job matching system. Job descriptions do not reflect job tasks and job projects that would be associated with a title of a cybersecurity professional. They don't. You all know. Everybody's cutting and pasting everybody's job descriptions. They're vague, they're impersonal, they don't really speak to the job. In general, they're literally a list of wishes that an employer wants that they think is the persona of the human that they're looking for versus the job description itself. And what are the tools and what do you need done, right? I mean, we couple that with resumes don't represent the true value of a professional because no professional knows how to create really that resume that can do that. And so when I look at this, and I also say, wow, and the job boards and the public social networks don't meet the needs of cyber professionals or hiring organizations, well, it only makes sense that there's this lack of succession planning, lack of career and staff planning. When you've got the shortage, you've got the unhappiness, you've got the broken job system, and yet our protectors, as a result, everybody's settling. A result of a job description and a resume matching broken system is settling. It's not a conscious thing. It's just how long can one interview behind their employer's back to accepting something that maybe didn't actually solve all the reasons they were looking, but it was enough, and therefore they want to stop hiding their search. And how about on the employer side? How long before in that 9 months or at that 9 months part is sort of settling? Instead of changing their expectations or redesigning the job descriptions and actually make a match, it's settling that happens. It's not conscious, it's subconscious. It's human nature. We want to move forward. We want to get things done. We want to believe it's possible. We want to look good to our employers. And so lots of great intentions, not built on something that cannot fulfill them, unfortunately, because at the end of the day, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that, you know, we need to hire folks, but we're losing them as fast as we're hiring them. This is not the way that we're going to win this battle. And so I say to you, my friends, that not only will we not win the battle of defending ourselves, we will not win the battle of a societal issue that we don't have enough defenders, that we need diversity. We need people of all genders, socioeconomic backgrounds, degree statuses, races. We need everybody. And so if all this turmoil is going on, how are we going to bring in these folks that need to be supported and developed and trained and fill these gaps? I am super hopeful and yet very concerned. And so here's the deal. Let's fix this, right? So how do we fix it? We fix it with a common language, standardized taxonomy of cybersecurity jobs, utilized by job descriptions and profiles, AKA resumes. I prefer profiles, using the same taxonomy. So tasks and projects. I'm talking about anybody that's had experience in the workforce and on, not the entry level, entering the business. So job descriptions, profiles, using the same job taxonomy can then be matched. And we don't need to know somebody's gender. We don't need to know somebody's age. We need to know what tasks and projects they've been doing the last 5 years, a year, 6 months. We need to know what the job is today, what tasks and projects need to get done. And we need to use those two things to make our matches. And when we do that, we can actually start the new work without settling. We can actually focus on career pathing because we can retain our talent because it is the right fit, that the job was understood before the person started, and the person's background and experience was understood before they started the job. And when those two things happen, there is no question in my mind, and certainly my statistics show this, that retention is 2 to 3 times longer than what we see in the marketplace overall. And this, as a CEO, somebody that has been building and leading teams for over 20 years, is the name of the game. It is about sticking together. It's about building solutions, products, making a difference, going to work and enjoying ourselves. And so I say to the world, we're in an era of individualism, and poning our own careers is what we must do, because we cannot rely on today's system. And that is important to me as a human, as well as somebody who cares about this community, who defends us and is thankful for this community. I believe that if we empower us all as individuals to hone our career, have our profiles actually make sense to an employer, have a career center that maps out every single job in cybersecurity to include certification mapping, to include salary mapping, to include a marketplace that allows for training institutes to present free training, paid training, to find the resources for diversity and inclusion programs that have their own special support to offer. Anything that's in our ecosystem, we need to be able to have our hands on it in a moment's notice. And that to me is really important. So if we're matching our profiles to jobs using the same taxonomy, and we have access to anything that we need for career pathing and training, and the resources that support our community in diversity and inclusion and emotional intelligence, then I believe that we can not only find jobs that really fit us today, we can have career support that we need, we can be judged on our merit and not anything else, and organizations will be able to build teams to last. Because when an individual knows their own worth and they can understand a job and what an organization needs done, it's always win-win. And so I would like to say to everybody here, this is a call to arms to say, let's together change this once and for all. I definitely look forward to hearing from any of you who would like to reach out to me at any time. Thank you for listening.